Another theme that I guess again I've circled around, but is just social inclusion and building relationships with people who are quite different to me. Excuse me. Oh dear, I didn't use my elbow. Oh no, the COVID police will be on to me. So this is a group of some of my neighbours in Masuri, and great women, and we'd have lots of chai and lots of laughs. They'd come over for my birthday, just a group of neighbours, but there's some things about my life, they have no understanding about why I want to climb mountains or do exercise for fun, but there's a lot of things we could share, so we focused on that. And then the final sort of theme, I guess I've circled around a lot, well, there's probably plenty of them because it's fairly scattered, but it's just that I guess the sort of my own journey of having started life as a daughter of Baptist missionaries working in India with a quite evangelical and literal understanding of the Bible, and I guess to understanding God as very big and generous and keen for people of all kinds who are made in God's image to engage with God. And so I found that challenging at times, but actually it's really welcoming. So just a few things. We've been based in India since 2006, and Jeff's family is originally from India. I was born there, and we actually met when we met at medical school. Jeff was a year ahead of me. We were both going to the St. Ben's Sunday evening crypt services, so it's nice to see Jo Ayres there. She was a real stalwart of the services there, and so we're actively involved there. And but both of us very early in meeting up have said, well, what are you doing at med school? And we both said, well, we're trying to get some skills, but we want to go back to a place where there's high need, few resources, where we can use our skills. And so India was a pretty natural place to connect to because we had family and history there. So we had 4 years living in Himachal Pradesh, which is slightly west of this place, the state of Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand, you can see is expanded there, and Dehradun is one of the old British army settlements. It's a bit higher than the Gangetic Plains, and we were living in Masuri, which is about 2,000 meters above sea level. A quite lovely place, and we really went there for pragmatic reasons. We'd homeschooled our kids for 4 years, and it was an international school that gave our kids big scholarships, so that was enough of a reason to be based there, so that the kids were having a good time at school and we could do the work we felt we were called to do. Uttarakhand is just a beautiful place, and my first, I guess a lot of the years has been mostly working in slums. So this is the very beautiful side of Uttarakhand, but the slums are much harsher. And I've been with a team working in both remote rural areas with a lot of Indigenous people. And so you can see this picture of the house with the orangey pile of things at the bottom. I don't know if your screen's big enough, but those are apricots. And so this is actually, every spring there's just this vast apricot harvest, and they pulp the seeds to get apricot oil out. So it's a state with 10 million people, and lots of work to do. There's only 15 psychiatrists for 10 million people. So I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm a sort of mental health, public health doctor, but I guess it tells you that there's not that much resource and lots of work to do. So working in community mental health is something that I really kind of grew into because it was such a needy area, and so became evident as meeting people with epilepsy and schizophrenia and bipolar, and lots of people who are just sad and mad and who weren't able to access any care. And so it's really been my focus for the last 8 or 9 years, and really, really loved it and have been able to study and research in it as well as project leadership. As a place to live, just colourful and beautiful. You can see our dog, Eddie. He's got a Superman cape on the table in the middle there. So he's been looked after by friends at the moment. It was quite a sad farewell coming back in a hurry. This is a big dosa with some friends of ours who in South India. So it's been a lovely place to live, but quite confronting and quite difficult often as well. I'm really loving the reliability of electricity and internet here. Sometimes we were really having you couldn't have more than about 20 seconds of conversation without dropping the signal. And so, yeah, that was pretty frustrating. And this is a picture of 2 of our kids last year. And so you can see that's not all fun and games. They were feeling hot and annoyed. And I'd said we were going to catch a bus. And they said, why can't we just get an aircon taxi? And yeah, so there's times when living in India isn't all a box of birds. There's times we found it quite hard. And so we had, as the whole world had, the sudden eclipsing event of the coronavirus. And for us, the main reasons why we felt like we needed to come back was we already had we were already thinking to come back in 12 months' time from now. And our son was going to be starting university and he couldn't take his year off that he was planning on. And my husband, Jeff, does a lot of work in international development and he knew he wouldn't be able to travel. And we've got family back here who were pretty keen for us to be nearby. So we came back and we left India on the last flight an hour before the borders closed, and they haven't opened since on the 21st of March. And we've been, like everyone else has, been on this funny journey. Returning back through Singapore was quite eerie, and this is we packed our whole house up in 6 hours because we got our tickets at 8 p.m. and we were leaving at 6 a.m. the next morning. So it was a pretty frantic packing up and really stressful. And yeah, we found it wasn't what I would recommend. But at the same time, New Zealand's a great place to come back to. And so even in this coming Tui Motu journal, I've sort of reflected on this funny thing where I've always felt like I've had to say I'm either from New Zealand or I'm from India, but actually aware that I can be from both places and always have my heart in both places. And I really love Aotearoa. I don't see the sea for a year or longer at a time when we're in India. We're living about 1,500 kilometers from the coast. And then back here, we can be with my lovely mother-in-law Pamela and lots of family and with the rest of our kids and with all the many beautiful gifts that we have in Aotearoa. So just as I finish up, I wanted to leave a couple of minutes in case anyone wanted to send any queries on the chat. There's this quote here from Arundhati Roy, and I guess that I feel like it's a sort of invitation to all of us. I'm just going to try and move the screen thing that I can see better. So historically, pandemics have forced humans to break with the past and imagine their world anew. This one is no different. It is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next. We can choose to walk through it, dragging the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our avarice, our data banks and dead ideas, our dead rivers and smoky skies. Or we can walk through lightly with little luggage, ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it. And yeah, I really appreciate that a lot of people have seen the COVID pandemic as an opportunity to rethink things and to reprioritize. In lockdown, I got a friend's 20 kilos of quinces as windfall and spent vast amounts of time harvesting quinces, which was very therapeutic as I was trying to make peace with the idea of being in New Zealand when I wasn't expecting to be. And I guess quinces are a really lovely sort of thread of a quite old fruit that can carry us right through a whole year if we cook up enough of them with their jellies and jams. So Richard Raw put the idea that any disrupting force or chaos is an opportunity to for growth, or else to kind of cling on to what was behind. And so for our family, where I'm working for Canterbury District Health Board in the community and public health section, it's very different to the work I've been doing, but I'm glad to have some employment, and I'm still working half-time with my team in India. There's a lot of stuff I can do by distance. And I guess we think we might well be here for a longer term, but we're certainly here for the next 6 months or so. So these are some of the things that we can choose: resilience instead of economic growth, collaboration instead of consumption, wisdom rather than chasing progress, balance rather than addiction, moderation rather than excess. So, and I guess these are just, so I guess, a sort of bouncing board to think about what are some different ways we can do things. And so I guess that, just to close, I really love this poem by Rainer Maria Rilke, and the sort of idea that we sort of circle around, and there's chaos and there's disorder, and then we return to some order, and then we probably get disrupted again if we allow it and don't get too concrete set in what we were doing. The idea of living our lives in widening circles, and circling around God, the primordial tower, and not being quite sure if we're a falcon or a storm or a song or something else again. So I feel incredibly grateful. I've written a few times to the editors of Tui Motu and said, I think you might well want a fresh voice. And they've graciously said, no, it's okay. We're not sick of you yet, and it's quite okay, by the way, Anne, when you've had enough. But thank you, and thank you for your interest. And I'll see if I can find a way to see some chat